back up. All right, so good morning, everyone. How y'all doing? This morning, what I wanted to do, I just wanted to do a Q&A because a lot of people want to get into real estate. They may not know how, or they may just think that it's impossible to.
Daryl, you're frozen.
Frozen.
I don't know if he can even hear.
He's
the
praying.
Daryl, you were frozen for like a minute.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're back now. You said people
I'm
don't
back.
seem to think they can
Okay.
get into real estate and go from there.
Okay, so a lot of times, a lot of people don't know how to get into real estate, or just some people may think that they don't have the money to get into real estate. So my wife and I, my wife, she's on here. We were both, just to give you a little bit of background of where we came from. The both of us born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. All right. I'm from the Bed-Stuy area. My wife is from the Brownsville area. And those two areas in Brooklyn, growing up back in the day, those were some rough areas, okay? Some rough areas. Yeah, sometimes you had to fight your way, or you may get ripped off. I used to get ripped off all the time, right? Until I got fed up with it and I started fighting back, right? And then that's when they start calling me Crazy Murphy and stuff like that. But it was tough for me back in those days until I got to a certain age. And, eventually my wife and I met my wife through a theatrical school. She was a dancer, I was an actor, and we met, dated, got married, have children, right? And I went into the military. And that's what got me out of Brooklyn, New York. Me going into the military and traveling the world, taking the family and everything. I still would, still never thought about real estate. The real estate portion didn't come until after I served 10 years in the Army, got out. And then I used to watch Carlton Sheets. Now, you know how far back that goes when I mentioned Carlton Sheets. I used to watch Carlton Sheets, and I ordered his kit to get started in real estate. So then I noticed other courses or seminars would come, but back then it was really just fixing and flipping. It didn't have anything to do with commercial multifamily. It was fixing and flipping, and I didn't want to do that. Really, I went and saw a couple of houses, and I was like, "Yo, I don't feel like getting into this," because to me, that was just a lot of work, right? But during that time, when I got out the military, I went to nursing school and got my license, became a pediatric burn nurse in Philadelphia, St. Crispus Hospital for Children. So I did that. And I also started my own business in nursing where I was doing home care for a while. I did that for a good while. I wound up getting sick and with kidney disease and having to get a transplant. So that's when I sort of backed away from nursing, because when I was in nursing, I was doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. To get a break from the children, I went into psych nursing to deal with psychiatric nursing. And so I used to get in, you know how that is in psych nursing. They come through the door, they be wired up. You better be ready to take them down, right? And so we did that. But after with the disease and getting a transplant, I wasn't able. I can't be wrestling with people no more and all of this, that, and the other. But I wound up getting into real estate and really through Carlton Sheets. And from there, I didn't do the fix and flip, but I wound up creating my own program where I was working with people to help them get into housing who had bad credit. So I would get the house for them, right? And then I would just do a lease, a lease with an option. A lease with an option is one of them. but if I will hold it for a year, and then they would just we would just refinance it out, and they would just take it out from under me. And I did that for a while. So, but once I finally got sick, that was it. With kidney disease, once it really hit me, I was flat on my back, didn't have nothing to do. So I wound up one day I was a tax guy said to me, you need to start a business. And that's when I started my own travel agency, did that for about 2 decades. And I never forgot about the real estate. At some point after, while doing the travel agency thing, running my own business and everything, I said to my wife, I want to come back into real estate. So I went and got my license, and my license hangs with KW right now, but I was on the residential side for a year. And during that year, things were happening to me. One, I had an excellent mentor who took me under her wing, and she introduced me into the banks, into banking. So I was now listing properties, REO properties, foreclosed properties for the bank, selling them. And during that time, I was building up my database of investors. So I did that for I'm gonna say for a year, but during that ending of the first year, I was educating myself on commercial, I'm gonna say on commercial. And as I got closer to that year coming to an end, another KW agent introduced me to his program, and he was talking about scaling and working with investors. But I'm still doing the same work as a residential agent. And actually, I was sort of getting tired of that. So, but he kept talking about scaling from 1 unit, 2 unit, 4 unit, and so forth. But he never went above 4. He always stopped at 4. And during that time, I'm starting to learn. I'm starting to see these guys come into my office, and they were commercial agents. So I'm trying to talk with them, and and so forth. But the bottom line, I wound up going to some commercial multifamily boot camps and getting mentors and and stuff like that. And I wound up jumping into a commercial at the end of that first year. I've been in commercial for 6 years. And I've been teaching commercial multifamily from that time. I had before I got into the commercial, I had inherited a multifamily property, a duplex in Brooklyn, New York. We wound up selling it, and I wound up taking that capital, and that helped me get into the commercial multifamily area. But after I took all the boot camps and underwriting courses and everything, that's when things started really moving. During that time, I was looking at properties, but I was all over the place. I mean, all over the place, looking at properties. You name the state and city, I bet you any of my money, I was there. Until my mentor told me one day, he said, Darryl, he said, as long as you keep jumping around, you're not going to find a property. He said, because this is a relationship building thing. That's what he said. You got to build a relationship with these brokers. So I was still hard-headed, still jumped around for a little short period of time. But after a while, something hit me in the head and said, yo, wake up, buddy. Listen to him. And that's when I narrowed my markets down. I was in Utah. Hold on a minute. Yeah. Utah, I was in Oklahoma, Arizona, and Utah. Utah and Arizona chased me up out of there. Their cap rates were so compressed, I was like, yo, I can't do nothing here. So then I looked at Texas, Texas and Oklahoma. And guess what? It was during that time I got my first property. under contract. It was 208 units in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We didn't close on that property. You know, a lot of that was me being so happy and anxious. You know, there was a lot of processing steps that I skipped and wound up going out there. We didn't close because one, it was just a wreck, man. This place was a wreck. Beautiful place now, but it was a wreck. So give me 1 second. Oops. Here we go. I should have had this ready. So so my first property, 208 units in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And boy, this thing needed some work. It needed some work. Here's some of the pictures of that property. Day one, we walked some of these units. Day two, there was so much going on until when we got back to the hotel that night. I just prayed. This is it right here. I just prayed and I said, you know, Lord, you gotta tell me if you want me to move forward with this. It's either a yes or a no. You know, I said, you can't give me any parables because I don't understand riddles. So that next day on day two, it was a no. The team got together, came out. My wife said, stop doing what you're doing. And nope, we're not doing it. She said, okay. So we backed out of that one. Then I really narrowed my focus down to where I just looked at only Texas. It was later on after that, I wind up getting invited on a deal in Augusta, Georgia, 104 units that I invested in. We took down, we went full cycle on. After I got invited on that one, raised capital, then I got invited to another one, 80 units, Vicksburg, Mississippi, and we still have that one, and it's in progress. Then I did, then we had got another property under contract. One of my team members and I got a property under contract. It was in Columbia, South Carolina. I may be skipping a property, but that's okay. Columbia, South Carolina, 42 units. We didn't close on that one. Interest rates caught us and other things happened. And then
Rita, are you on pause too? Did you freeze?
still
Is
froze.
there-
Nope, there it is. Okay,
Still
so I'm back
frozen.
again. All right, so I'm back. My internet connection is unstable. I don't know why it's unstable. I paid my bill. So I think I left off with let me see, where did I leave off?
You
Alicia, where did I leave?
you still own Vicksburg.
Okay, so Vicksburg, we're still on that one. We're still on that one, and that's good. But then we went up under contract on one in Columbia, South Carolina for 42 units. And then we the team and I found this property in Dayton, Texas, and went up under contract. And the journey on this property was really long. It was a long process. We were going to do a loan assumption on the Dayton deal, but Freddie Mac was dragging their feet. Now that was a blessing for us because we were still raising capital. So it drug out all the way to 6 months. After the 6 months, the seller said, Dad, we need a plan B. So I said, well, let's take a look and let's get agency debt on this thing. And that's when we shifted from the loan assumption to the agency debt. In less than 45 days, we closed. And that was on the 13th. The seller was really patient. And I must say, the seller was really patient because the process was so long, drawn out, and everything. But the property, it was just fantastic. And when I saw Dayton, what made me pick Dayton, Texas, was the fact I saw progress. I went to a conference, and while I was there, went out to Dayton and saw the property. I think it was really before, but went to Dayton, saw the properties, saw the city. I saw what was going on. A lot of infrastructure was going on. And then the property rents was slightly below market. Matter of fact, rents were below market. The storage units that's back here in the back over there, they below market. And I saw progress. And we got in early on. Look, and they building out there. This is some of the updated photos where I was out there just this week, where this not one of them. That's not it. That's from Houston. But this is the hotel that's being built. This is the stadium. These are the apartments and everything. This is the seller here. But I saw something in Dayton, and I went back to my team and said, I love this place. This is fantastic. All right, bad internet connection. So what I'm going to do here, hold on, everyone, just in case, if I get booted out, and I don't want to end this here, I'm going to make Alicia the co-host. Alicia, if I get booted out, I'll be back. All right, so, but I saw something there, and I'm glad that the team decided to move forward with Dayton. I really am. So we own this property now, and we're in the process of making things happen, moving and putting things in order, systems in place, so that we can have successful business. And I want to thank all of you investors that have that put your trust in us to get this property. But I wanted to let this be. I want to tell you just a little bit about me, how we got this property. And I want to put this, leave this as a Q&A where you can ask me questions on how I got started, where, what made me do it and so forth. This way you could get to know me, right? You see me post all the time on Facebook. There are things you see me do, but there are also questions that I'm sure you may have, because everyone don't know about this. Everyone doesn't know about how to get started in commercial or so forth. They think it's very difficult. Now it's going to cause you to put some time, effort, and work in, but it can be done. All right. If someone from Brooklyn, New York, Bed-Stuy, Brownsville could do it, I know you could do it. All right. So what questions do you have for me? The floor is open to ask any questions that you would like. And you can ask any question that you want.
Carol, on this particular property, the Dayton property, did you bring this to the group? And if so, if you can tell me what you liked about this particular property, what is the plan for the property, like how long you're going to hold it, and what's the end game for the property? And then also, I think I had heard that you're still raising capital because the insurance or something went up on the property, if you can address that.
So what's the plan for this property? The plan for this property, we're going to hold this property. Now, the note on this for 10 years, we're going to hold it Every single year, we're going to evaluate the market. On the 5th year, depending on how the market is doing, we're going to either sell the property, refi the property, or hold on to the property. Depends on where the market is. Because right now, we don't know where this market is going to be 5 years from now, right? All right. And so that's what the plan is. But we're going to also, right now, we're going to also renovate some of the units. Now, the team did meet and we have discussed the possibility of holding off on renovation because we don't know how the market is going to turn or going to go. As we already know, on December 14th, interest rates went up 0.5%. And according to certain articles that I've read, instead of them bumping interest rates up 3/4 or greater, they're going to do smaller increments. So it's going to be half, half, half. So you're going into 2023, and we're still going to be looking at, if they still raising interest rates, it's still going to go up like probably half, 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 or whatever. So we're going to be evaluating the market every year, see how things are going. We raised capital. Yes, we raised capital so we could close on this property. We still have a little bit more to raise, and it's like what, 200,000. So we have that, and from there, but it's not, the 200,000 is not going to stop us from moving forward if need be, because there are still things that need to be done. So we have capital to get that done, but we may hold off on the renovation side only because guess what? We're already hitting our target rent. Our target rent was $950. Going into this property, the average rent was $860. Our goal was to get the rents up to $950. Well, guess what? We got them up to $950 before we even took possession of the property. The storage units were below rent. Guess what? We got those up to market rent before we even took possession of the property. So we still have some more rents that we need to increase, but as the leases come due for renewal, we're going to take them up to where we are, to where our target is. All right. We're still, and now we on the self-storage units, we got 42 self-storage units. We take those, or once we got this place under contract, we started bumping the rents on new leases for the storage units. Guess what? We just released out another storage unit yesterday, on the 15th. Released out another storage unit, 10 by 10, $70. That's where we wanted. Okay. So, I've been in communication with the property manager, but he also feels, although the market may be in the condition that it's in, he said, Dow, I'm going to evaluate the market for the storage units. I'm going to evaluate the market for those apartments, because I believe that those units, you're still under market. And he believed that we could hit it, go up just a little bit more. All right. 2 blocks over, before when Alicia and I and her husband was there doing our due diligence, there was a commercial multifamily asset being built. So I went back while I was there. They finished it. Looks beautiful. And their rents, although I know you're going to say, well, that's a new and all of this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. It's a smaller unit. I think it's like 42 units or something like that. And they're pushing their rents for 2 bedrooms and 900 square feet, over $1,200 for the second floor and $1,300 for the first floor. So no, I don't have a brand new unit, but I know I could get greater than 950. So, and that's what they're being rented for. And guess what? They're being absorbed. Also on that same street, when Alicia and I was there and her husband, there was one single family residential home being built. It was wood framed. I went back when I saw it, and it was right next door to the commercial multifamily property. Now there's about 6 of them all finished and being absorbed.
A follow-up question to that is, and thank you for your answers. The storage units are part of the apartment complex that the tenants are utilizing, is that correct? And then you were saying there were renovations that are needed. So, or the tenants living in subpar housing, or is the housing still pretty good even though the renovations haven't been made?
That's an excellent question. No, these units are already renovated. Majority of units were, matter of fact, all the units are renovated except for probably one, but they're all renovated. No unit is subpar. They got new flooring, new flooring, been painted and everything. What we're planning on doing is switching out the appliances. That's what we want to do because the appliances are old, right? So we're gonna go in and we can switch out the appliances. We don't have to move no one out, to do that, so, but there's no gut jobs that we have to do. This place is 100% full, no subpar apartments. Everything looks great. So that's the reason why we don't have to rush to do renovations. And like I said, we're already hitting our targets. Any other questions? Anybody want to know about me? What you want to know?
Daryl, this is Ken. Daryl, this is Ken.
Yeah, Ken,
good. You mentioned that you already hit your target.
Yes.
And you had those things released prior to owning the property. Were you talking to the tenants or to the property manager? How did you do anything with the tenants prior to you owning the property?
What you mean? Doing?
You said you hit your target before you even owned the property.
Correct.
He's talking about the negotiations with the seller directly regarding the leases.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, number one, remember now, and remember in your contract, that seller is supposed to keep that property up to par, right? You're not supposed to let that thing go by the wayside, right? You got to keep that thing smoking, keep it leased up. So our agreement with the seller was, right, and it's in the contract, and it should be in all your contracts. Make sure you get the final say so on how far where you're going to push your rents to, right? So we already had an agreement that, any new leases, renewal leases, before you start approving anyone, please let us know. And he was very cooperative. He said, sure. We started bumping them to 950. Can you please take that 950, please? Boom. Can you please take the 950, please? Boom. Storage unit, Dad, we got a storage unit. What you want to do? Can you please take that 10 by 10 up to 70? Sure. Boom. Boom. I think there was one person that he asked about. He said, listen, we have I think it was a police officer that moved in, and he was also military. And they were, so they said, well, Dad, do you want to give him like a little break? Because he is military, and the seller, if I'm not mistaken, the seller is Marine. I'm Army, and stuff like that. So I got with the team, and we did agree to give him a little break. I think it was for the first month, but then after that, boom, 950. Okay, so that's how we did it. Yeah, I hope I answered your question, Kenneth.
Yeah, you did. You had a good seller on your hands. Sometimes you don't have those kind of sellers on your hands.
You listen. This seller was fantastic. He was the best. Very cooperative, very patient. He could have easily been nasty or took the property back at the end of 6 months, because we end the contract. And here he had said before time, I don't want to go past 6 months there. She said, so in the contract, 6 months. You got 6 months. And although we went past 6 months, if I was nasty, then he could have said, nah, you're 6 months up, bud. See ya. But instead, we both were cooperative, worked together tightly, doing all of that. So he was like, that's when, so at the end of 6 months, he said, Darryl, what's your backup? Backup, we get agency debt. He said, okay. So and remember, and another thing, he knew that it wasn't us holding up things. He knew that it was Freddie Mac, because I'm using his lender, and it was his lender that, he even spoke to his lender, like, what's going on? Oh yeah, we getting the process this, process that. Let me tell you something. The lender processors went on vacation. That's what they did. They went on vacation. They said, "Dad, man, we went on vacation. We're back now." I'm like, yo, man, don't kick me to the curb. But they went on vacation and stuff like that. So yeah. But Freddie Mac wasn't in a hurry, which you may have heard from loan assumptions. Loan assumptions are, they can drag out for months, maybe even a year sometimes. Any other question?
Where did we get the, I guess we have a management company for the apartment complex.
Mhm.
Did we take over the guy's management company, or we got a new one? Where'd they come from?
We got a new management company. The new management company was introduced to me by another investor that also worked with them. And I sat down and I talked to James Ellis from Arundel Property Management. He has well over 10 something years, 10, 12 years, or if not longer, management experience in Houston. And he knows the Dayton area. And actually on a couple of our webinars, he was there.
Okay.
He mentioned about he had briefly jumped in, and he had mentioned about working with the pier, the waterfront, but there's a lot of although Dayton is back a little bit, but we're only 37.4 miles from the center of Houston. So we're not that far. It's still some distance from the water, but a lot of those guys there, he wants to bring up into Dayton to take to our property so we could really get the rents up even higher.
Okay.
So yeah, but he has a good experience in and everything. And Freddie Mac also reviewed them and gave a thumbs up for him to manage the property. And he has he's also HUD approved, USDA approved, so he can also manage USDA properties and HUD properties.
Okay. Oh, also, are we on track for our dividends? Aren't until the second quarter of 2023?
No, we had said the first and second quarters we weren't going to do distributions. It was going to be on the third quarter.
I couldn't remember. I knew it was second or
Yeah.
third.
Any other questions?
So what's next for you?
Right now we're looking at several other properties, 120 units, 128 units. We're keeping our eyeball open on the 357 units in Arizona. But what's next is to continue to scale larger and to move and really promote the GOB network and to promote the GOB Queens, because the GOB Queens played a big part in this property and helping raise capital. The GOB Queens raised over $160,000, $170,000. It was $170,000 they raised over. So next for me is to work closer with the GOB Queens, to work closer with GOB itself, and for me to scale larger, because I have goals that I have to hit, and also to expand my mentorship program and the commercial multifamily masterminds.
And can you share a little bit more about commercial multifamily masterminds?
Sure. The commercial multifamily mastermind, you know, we meet every Tuesday at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. For those that are not familiar with the commercial multifamily masterminds, it is a network. It's a private network of commercial, of investors, not commercial. I'm gonna say of investors at all levels, seasoned, non-seasoned, sponsors, you know, KPs, people with GPs, but you get to bring your underwrite to the mastermind, and the investors there will, you know, we're there to help you. One, the GOB network is an educational platform, and so is the commercial multifamily mastermind, because we are a member of the GOB. So we are an educational platform that gives network and support to help you get your deals across the finish line. So you can bring your underwrite to the commercial multifamily mastermind. We'll help you with your underwrite, make sure that it's where it needs to be, so that you could get that property across the finish line. And if you need help raising capital and stuff like that, we're there. The GOB is there. We're there to help you get your deals done.
And then can you share a little bit about your background?
Sure. Well, born and raised Brooklyn, New York. Went to high school, Alexander Vocational Technical High School in Brooklyn. Believe it or not, I was into electrical work. Can you imagine me wiring somebody's house? Oh man, I had fun though. I also did drafting. So I was able to read the sketches from architects and stuff like that. Got married in 81. Because I met my wife in 78. I never forget that day, 5, 6, 7, 8. See that? 5, 6, 7, 8. Never forget that. But met my wife, got married, have 2 children, a boy and a girl. My son is 41. My daughter's 36. And we live here in Jersey. After I got out the military, I didn't want to go back to New York with my kids because they were young, and I wanted them to stay down here. I felt that the schools were better here in Jersey. This part, because I live in the southern part of Jersey. Believe it or not, southern part of Jersey is like the country. So, but now we getting a little citified. So, but that's I'm in the southern part of Jersey down here. But yeah, what else you want to know about my background? Help me out.
What did you do in the Army?
I was a 75 Bravo personnel administrative specialist. Did that. I served in my first duty assignment was Fort Stewart, Georgia. And then from there, I went to Germany. I was in Pirmasens, 57 Trans Group. And then went down to Kaiserslautern. And from Germany, came back to Jersey. And Jersey became my home base. And then I stayed here in Jersey for, I think, a year. And I went to Korea. And then I stayed in Korea for a short period of time. Then I wound up coming back home to Jersey. But I wanted to change my MOS from 75 Bravo to a 91 Charlie, which was a nurse. So they wouldn't do it. So that's why I got out. I got out the Army and went to nursing school.
Yeah, I went to I was assigned to Fort Stewart when I came back from Vietnam.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Fort Stewart, Georgia.
Daryl and Kenneth, both thank you for your service. We want to thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Daryl, I wondered, you took me back when you said Carlton Sheets. That was my first course as well. So I know we're dating ourselves. I think everybody who first started in our era probably started with Carlton Sheets.
Sure enough.
But I wanted to ask you, you named a few properties. How many properties have you or you and GOB in the multifamily? How many properties have you all closed on?
The GOB has over 6,500 doors under management. All right. I went full cycle on 104, still on 80, and now this 24 with the 42 self-storage units.
And I know Harita, she had the question of how you got started on multifamily. And I know you shared that just a little bit, but if you can share a little more.
Go a little deeper? Sure.
Yes.
So this is what I did. While as a residential agent, there was a book. And there was a book written by Mitul Rana, right? You can't get the book now, it's out of print. I don't even know what happened to him. But I ordered that book, and that book was very instructional, right? I mean instructional. Do this, do this, do this, do this. And it was mainly helping me with underwriting. So I reached out to the author of the book, Mitul Rana, and I asked him if he would mentor me. And he said yes. So he mentored me for a while. Now, and during that time, I was still under another mentorship program where that mentor was mainly focused on residential multifamily. And I say residential multifamily, you know what that is, 2, 3s, and 4s. But once you get 5, it's commercial. So he was mainly focused on that. And he was teaching me about scaling up, and I would go out with him to different KW offices and stuff like that to educate other KW agents on working with investors. It wasn't necessarily about them getting into it. It was about working with investors. But I noticed he would always stop at 4. Now, during this time, I'm working with him. I'm also being mentored by Mitul Rana. And of course, in KW came available a commercial course. So I jumped on that. And it was, I think it was like a 4-week course. And so I took the course. But when I got done taking that course and I had to pass, and I passed the test with flying colors. But when I got done, I was standing up there in front of some KW agents with my other mentor who was talking about scaling up on residential side. And it was like a light bulb went off in my head. It was like, yo, you're on the wrong side of the fence. You got to jump the fence. And he thought that I forgot my words on what I was supposed to say. No, what happened was, it dawned on me while I was standing there in front of all those people, I ain't had no business standing there no more. And after that, I left that, and that's when I jumped. I went back to my team leader, and I said, I'd like to go into commercial. And he said, okay. And he introduced me to the regional director. The regional director thought I wasn't prepared because I was a residential agent, but little did he know. I had already been to boot camps. I was already being mentored by Mitul Rana, and he gave me the stick packet. I mean, this sucker was thick. And he told me, complete this packet and bring it back to me. I completed the packet that night and sent it back to him. He said, you did all of this? I said, yeah. He said, well, welcome to commercial. And that's how I got into commercial. And I left residential and never went back. Was that deep enough? Now you want me to go a little deeper? But I will say this. The one thing that the other mentor did, he made me do, was he made me start a meetup. But during the meetup, I never spoke about the residential multifamily, the 1, 2, 3s, and 4s. I never spoke about it. I spoke about commercial. And there's a book, I do believe, written by Gary Keller that teaches you, it's a blue book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, I think it's called. It's a blue book. I read that book.
Investor.
Yeah, thank you. I read that book. That's the one. Yeah, the Millionaire Real Estate Investor. I have that, and I read it. So when so let me show you how I elevated. I read that book, took that book into the meetup classroom, and started teaching about underwriting using that book. But as I started elevating, as I got into the commercial multifamily with another mentor, that's when I left the book alone and I realized I had to work this way here in the commercial realm and so forth. And but yeah, that's when I wind up there was I'm gonna tell you, there was so much that was changing with underwriting, because some of you may know me as the advisor for the Michael Blanc program. If you were ever in his Slack channel, and I was one of the advisors that looked over your underwrite and stuff like that. So I did that too. But that's what, after that, I continued teaching, having my meetups every other week. And I remember there were times when I first started out where there was no one would come, and then sometimes one person would come. But I was determined I wasn't going to give up. And then after a while, it just exploded. It really did. It just exploded, where I was teaching a classroom of around 30 people. And then, COVID hit. And I know COVID wasn't good, but I will tell you this: it wasn't good for some, but it was good for others, right? Because it made us think of other ways we had to get the word out. And that's when Zoom came along, and I went from 30. And I remember it was the last meeting of last year, I think it was, where my numbers went from 30 on Zoom to about 70. And I was like, wow. So now I run between about 50, depending on 50, 60 people now on my masterminds. Can you put the name of, yeah, it's, oh man, you know something? I'm gonna have to send that to you, because, where's that book? Miturana. You can't even get it no more. It's not even in print. Miturana. How to Invest, I think it was called, How to Invest in Commercial Multifamily. I'll find it. I'll find it somewhere, Stephanie. Just remind me, shoot me an email to remind me to send you the name, and I'll send it to you.
Daryl, can you share with us what you like most about multifamily investing? And is there anything, you can show the pros and cons of what you like best about it, as far as the residential or commercial?
All right, so comparing, one, why do I like commercial multifamily? I like commercial multifamily. No, that wasn't the question you asked. Repeat that question back to me. I want to answer it the way you asked it. The commercial. Ask me that question one more time, Stephanie,
So
please.
that's what I was asking you. Why do you, can you tell me the pros and cons, why you like commercial multifamily versus residential? Why you like it best? You seem very passionate about it. I just want to know what you like best.
The reason why I like commercial multifamily over residential is because of the scalability. All right. If you look at commercial multifamily, the way we evaluate properties compared to the way residential properties are evaluated. Okay. You could own a 5-unit, and I'm gonna go with the lowest one, which is a 5-unit compared to a 4-unit. and this is going to, for those, I'm sure everyone here already know, because I think everyone here is into commercial, but a 4-unit is a residential property. That property is going to be evaluated compared to other 4 units, what they sold on, which is called a comparative analysis, right? So what the market said on those properties on a 4-unit, if your property, let's say today, you bought it at 200,000, but then the property next door sold for 100,000, that it was the same exact 4 units, square footage, similar in nature in property, similar in nature all the ways around. Let's say that there's 4 other houses on that block and they sold for less. Your house now just dropped in value, because that's how they evaluate properties on the residential side, doing a comparative analysis. Now, on the commercial side, let's go with that 5-unit. The 5-unit is not compared that way. A 5-unit is compared by income, all right? Income and expenses. So if you were to, let's say there was no washing machines in the 5-unit, you put, say, 2 or 3 wash machines in, you make an income. That right there just pushed the value of your property up, because it's income based. So why do I love commercial? Because the valuations on it, although rents may happen to drop or they may go up, it's all based on income, what the income is doing. It's not based on the whims of the market itself. Okay, and that's just trying to keep it simple, everyone, right? But with commercial multifamily, you could scale quick to hit your goal, right? And my goal, I did not meet my goal for this year, which was 1,200 units. But I'm telling you right now, next year, I'm going over 1,200 units. I'm gonna tell you. And I'm inviting all of you to come on and ride right along with me. Listen, I'll take you with me if you want to go, because I'm going to hit over 1,200 units next year. I got the drive and I'm going to do it. So come on with me. All right. Did I
So
answer your question, Stephanie? Cool.
Can,
all right.
Can you share a little bit about?
Yes, thank you.
Can you share a little bit about, and maybe balance may not be the right word, but the support, because I know you and your wife are both in real estate. How has that helped by you both being in real estate and this journey?
See, and that's really important, right? That's very important to have a spouse that's going to work with you and not against you. And I'm going to put it just like that. Work with you, not against you, right? Now, you're probably saying, well, what do you mean by working against you? You may be the person, and I'm going to say this could go either way, because I've met spouses, that's women, their husband is like, I ain't for it. But I've also met men and the women are like, I ain't for it. So this is what I mean. You get up in the morning, you got that drive. You're going to sit down, you're going to underwrite this property. And then you see at the property that it makes sense, right? But your spouse that's not in it and don't really want to take part in it, which that's going to be a force pushing against you, because you're going to want to say, yo, I'm going to invest in this deal. Nah, you ain't doing that. You're going to go like this right here. Right? You know that look? I guarantee you, you're going to do the deal anyway. And then it's going to be a problem, because now when he or she finds out you did the deal, they're going to be like, oh, I didn't tell you not to do it. You're going to be like, yo, your children somewhere else, right? It's going to cause a strife. I always like to ask, is your wife involved? And if they say no, I say, teach them. Just just show them, teach them what you're doing, because if you don't take the time to teach your spouse, whether it's male or female, I don't care, you're going to get a pushback. Because the problem is, a lot of times, it's the fear. And when you talk about investing, I don't care how much money, whether it's $1,000, your spouse may say, yo, that's $1,000 that could go somewhere else. But you educate them. A lot of people say and I'm sure there's a lot of investors, and you could vouch for this. Man, what you're doing is I'm back now. Okay. All right. Yes. All right. So a lot of your spouse may feel that what you're doing is risky. And a lot of people will say, yo, man, that is risky what you're doing. No, we are educated enough to know that no, it's not risky for us. It's risky for you because you don't know what you're doing, right? We educate ourselves, we take courses, we pay big money, whether it's $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to get educated on these programs. So we are minimizing our risk. Education makes it where you're minimizing your risk. But if you're uneducated to what you are investing in, then you're taking a risk, right? And I will say to my wife all the time, I'm not going to invest in something that I don't know anything about. It's just, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take the risk. All right. So if I go get educated, like, and another perfect example is years ago when I got out the military, or matter of fact, while I was in the military, I used to invest in commodities, oil. Thank you, Kevin. I used to invest in some commodities, lost some money. I lost money, but I also invested in stocks. And this, I'm gonna go back a little bit with a computer company called Wang B. I don't know if y'all remember that, but that's back in the day, Wang B. I made good money on that. But it's all about education. Educate yourself. So take the time, educate your spouse. Let them see how you're doing. When I went to my first boot camp, man, I was so excited. I was so excited. I belong to the South Jersey RIA, and I got invited to there by another agent in KW. He said, man, you got to come to the South Jersey RIA this week. He said, because there's going to be a guy there that's doing what you want to do. And I said, yeah? He said, yeah. So I went, and sure enough, he became my mentor. And to this day, I'm still in his program. But when I got back, I told my wife, you're going I told her, you're going to the mentor, to the boot camp. And then she went to the boot camp. And then I went back again because it was so much fun and very educational. I went back. I did it 3 times. I think she did it twice. And so it's all about educating your spouse so that the load could be lightened and y'all both could be on par. Because if one is pushing against the other, you're going to have a problem, a big problem. All right, Alicia.
Thank you, Darren.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? None? All right. Well, I just want to say thank you for coming out. I really wanted to just give you an opportunity to learn about me and to learn about my past, you know, where I come from, and also to let you know where I'm going. And I hope that you all come along with me. I'll reach out to you. If anyone would like a copy of the video, I'll just send it out to you. So don't worry. I'll make sure that you get it. Don't worry. All right. But I do want to thank you all for coming out, taking the time to out of your busy Saturday schedule to talk to me or for us to talk together with each other. So thank you very much. Did I get that? Yep, I got it.
Question, when you
Uh,
send a copy of this video, are you talking about this video here? Of this
Yeah.
recording? Okay,
Mhm.
great. Because I
Yeah.
would like to share it with my husband.
Oh, fantastic. There you go. There you go. So, all right then. But thank you all for coming. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Hope you have a fantastic holiday. And if anyone would like to know more about my mentorship program, reach out to me. And because we're going to take this thing a whole new generation.
Carol, can I ask another question?
Sure, go ahead.
I wasn't on the meeting Tuesday. I had another meeting. Are we meeting the next two Tuesdays of the month?
Yeah.
The 20th and the 27th?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not canceling my meetings. Nope. So, all right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you all
Bye-bye.
very much. All right. Now have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.
All
Bye.
right.